it can be quite difficult being autistic during the holiday season, which is a real shame because we're meant to be able to enjoy Christmas or whatever celebrations that you might take part in. But unfortunately, very often, the other people's expectations of what Christmas or whatever needs to be can make life very hard for autistic children, autistic adults likewise. So in this video, I'm going to offer 5 potential things that might help you make the holiday season a little bit more comfortable, a little bit less scary for the autistic people in your life. So first of all, I'm going to suggest as my number 1 pick to always provide an escape route. I know that might sound a bit over the top, but when you're autistic and you can feel the stress levels starting to rise, when you can feel your need to get some space and some decompression opportunity kind of rising and rising, it's really important to feel safe to be able to just duck out, to leave, to go to your room or to go to a quiet spot. The problem is at Christmas, especially, for example, Christmas lunch or one of those events, you know, if you have all your family over and you're all in the living room and you're all chatting, it can be very common for autistic children especially to be accused of being rude if they just bolt from the scene. What I suggest is you build those escape routes in from the very beginning. You let the autistic person know that it will be fine, absolutely fine, if they have to leave unannounced. That you won't judge them and that you will explain to others, should that be needed, if they get offended, you know, because of them leaving, you know, grandparents, uncles, aunts, those kinds of people. So yeah, having a known place where the autistic person can run away to should they need is really, really, really valuable. Whether it's during eating or during social activities, a board game or whatever it is you might get up to, make sure they can go. Okay. Number 2 is to really reevaluate your family traditions when it comes to the holiday period. This can encompass lots of different things, but it might be that some things that are, you know, heavily kind of built in and respected traditions within your family. So, for example, board games after lunch. Could that be making life more difficult for your autistic child or your autistic spouse or yourself even? Have a think about that and actually seriously reflect on it and think, do we actually have to do this thing? You know, do we have to force everyone to play board games after lunch, or can we actually be a bit more flexible on that? Do we all have to go on the after lunch walk? Do we all have to open our presents at the same time in the morning or the afternoon? There's no hard or fast rule here. It's just about sitting back and reflecting on what you always do, just in case what you always do is always stressing your autistic family out in some way. So take a little bit of time to have a think about that. As I say, I don't know what your traditions are, but I'm sure you've got them, and it can be really worthwhile to think about whether or not they're actually helping. Number 3 is to do with food. Food freedom. I can't stress this enough. It's often seen as being one of the best parts of Christmas, especially. You know, big Christmas dinner with all the trimmings. Yay, everyone loves that. Except not everyone does. For some people, it's a nightmare. For some people, it's such a break of routine and they're expected to eat stuff they would never normally eat that the whole thing becomes just too stressful and becomes a source of meltdown or shutdown. That's no good. We shouldn't be doing that. So be more flexible if you can around the topic of food in the holiday season. If people have a restricted diet for whatever reason, a restricted palate, if they have sensory issues around flavour and textures of food, then respect that. And bear in mind that if we're really getting to the core of this, these holidays should be a time when we get to eat our favourite things, whatever they might be. I sometimes have nachos for my Christmas lunch, and I'm not ashamed to say that because I love nachos. I love them, always have. So sometimes, not every year, but sometimes I treat myself. and it's lovely. Where's the issue there? So be really thoughtful about how you can make food good for everybody on that day or in that season. Number 4 is to really see if you can maintain your normal daily routine as much as possible. Often especially when Christmas hits or any other big holiday over the season, routine just goes out of the window. It just collapses and all of a sudden everything is different. People get up at different times, they do breakfast differently, all kinds of things just alter. And for an autistic young person in particular, that can be nightmarish. My biggest problem, for example, on Christmas morning is the fact that I can't go for my morning coffee because nowhere's open. I can't go to my coffee shop that I always go to because it's closed. I mean, fair enough, they have to have their holiday, but it really messes with my routine. So I have to find alternatives, and it's that kind of thing. How can we make sure that our morning routine stays as similar to normal as humanly possible? Whatever you can do there is likely to help your autistic family. Okay? And then finally, number 5, this is especially key if you're going to have extended family over, friends, that kind of thing. But be an ally. Don't join in with the chorus of complaints when your autistic child, for example, does something that they're not meant to do or that is frowned upon. So, for example, when I said earlier about having an escape route, it's one thing if grandma and grandpa complain about your autistic child leaving the room and going up to their room for a while to decompress. But it's even worse if you join in with their complaints, if you are angry with them too. Because surely you know better than that. That's not entirely fair. It's much nicer if you are able to actually stand your ground and to say, well, actually, my autistic son, daughter, that they need space right now, and I'm going to defend their need for that. So please don't complain about it. They'll be back down later, so long as they feel happy to. Be an ally. Back us up. And I say us very purposefully because this has been my experience throughout my life, especially when I was a kid. Just wanting to be, for it to be okay for me to do the things I had to do to keep my stress levels down and to keep myself happy on what should be a happy time. So there we are. That is 5 things that may well help support your autistic loved ones during the holiday season. I hope they're useful, and of course stay tuned to Autism Central for more videos from all kinds of different experts on topics just like this. Have a good Christmas or any other holiday that you might be celebrating.